performance is by a multidisciplinary artist who calls his work a testament of radical love for our beloved community, the local community, our ancestral community, and the community of innate humanity. Seitu Ken Jones is a McKnight Distinguished Artist, an advocate, and a fourth-generation Minnesotan. Give it up for Seitu, please.
How can I follow that? In the 70s, I was caught up in this rich mix of politics and culture that was in the air. And 50 years ago, that song came out. I have to thank Amber again. What's Going On is celebrating its 50th anniversary. That song is timeless. So big shout out to Marvin Gaye and his spirit here. Marvin Gaye is in the house. And I also want to join Alicia, who was up here with Danielle, and just to say, happy solstice, y'all. A little after 2 p.m. today, the sun stood right over the equator. And so we have this day and night that's almost the same amount of time. So this is a special time. Despite all that's going on, remember that we have learned from these cycles. I have always advocated, even though I can't prove it, that artists were probably the first farmers. They were the folks that could recognize the cycles. They were the folks that could look and make these observations on what was growing where and how it was growing. And in addition to the seed packet that you've given, that just went around, one of the things that unites all the folks that were up here, I was feeling bad about being one of the second to last. Why am I always the second to last person to come up here? And now I have been caught up in the thing that ties each one of the folks that's been up here together. And that is, this word that we hardly use in public forums like this, and that's love. And we need to say that and use that more and more and more. You all are part of what Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and others have called the beloved community. And because you are part of this community, we have this responsibility to love the earth. That's another theme that came through all of the folks who were up here before me, and to love each other. So we have to continue that. We have to remember that over and over and over again. And I have a gift for you all as well, and I'm going to get to that here in a second, because with that gift comes responsibility as well. Because I'm going to be expecting to hear from you all. And to help me with that gift, I need to give a big shout out to one of my colleagues, one of my collaborators, Roger Cummings, who's here in the house. Another homie from Minnesota. Roger and Deanna Cummings created an art center in North Minneapolis that is vibrant and ongoing called Juxtaposition Arts. And this past week, I was with Roger's Design Lab, this group of young artists that have helped create this gift, this offering to you all. In addition, as fly as they are, believe it or not, they even designed these shoes. The Design Lab was a collaboration between Red Wing Boots and Juxta. So I'm up here showing off my shoes today as well. So where do I begin? I'm going to give you my credentials. As an artist, and I've been an artist for a long, long time, but I'm going to reveal myself to a lot of you that don't know that my education on the college level is at the University of Minnesota's Ag School. I'm a product of their Ag School with a couple of different degrees. And I've used that as one of the tools to change community. In my neighborhood, Frogtown, USA, in St. Paul, is one of the most challenged neighborhoods in St. Paul. And food insecurity is an issue. And so working with, believe it or not, 3 other artists, we started this 10-year-long effort to establish a new park and farm on vacant land in Frogtown. This is an aerial view, and you know, this is a farm created and designed by artists. Ain't no straight rows. And that was not just because we were being creative with the land and landscape. That was also calling up these ancient and traditional systems. This is on a hill to save and make sure that water is infiltrated into the soil. So this is a whole collection of swales and berms. So this is really practical to keep water on the land. And we have produced for the last almost 10 years anywhere from 2,000 pounds to 10,000 pounds of fruits and vegetables, that 85% of which stays right in Frogtown. Now, I threw this in to surprise our grand magician here because he blessed this a few years back just by performing. You know, Douglas, I mean, you all have heard of a mad scientist before. No, Douglas is a glad scientist. So we got a big shout out of thanks to Douglas for blessing the soil. And we have been organizing around food. Remember this, y'all, that, and this is something that like all you all need to do. All you all that work for different organizations, all you all that work for different businesses need to keep this in mind. Whenever you gather people, no eating, no meeting. So you have to have food. This was an effort. This was the result of a 2-year-long effort to organize the community around food sovereignty and to have an over-the-table conversation about our food system, our local or hyper-local food system. So you can see this is a half-long table that goes way off into the distance. This is my neighborhood, y'all. These are my neighbors. And we repeated it again in Indianapolis, in Omaha, in Grand Rapids, Michigan, where it was part of our prize, and it was even awarded the grand jury prize of our prize. And I also make art. And have been really intrigued with collard greens. Collard greens have been a way for us to access African American cuisine, and maybe even that might open up folks' eyes to other elements of the African American experiences. This is in Bates College here. This is Omaha again here. This is in Grand Rapids. This is inside of Nashville's Farmers Market. And there they have a turnip greens festival. And so this was dedicated during the turnip greens festival a few years back. So where does all this come from? Y'all recognize this person here? Y'all know who this is? Who is this? I heard somebody say it. George Washington Carver, one of the greatest agriculturalists in America, an icon. This is a little aside, but I had an auntie. I grew up in this great, big, loving family, and I had a loving aunt that was also the strictest aunt, the first person in that generation to go to college and graduate from college. She was a school teacher. My Aunt Beverly used to call me Little George Washington Carver. And as a kid, I even knew what an icon he was. I knew who he was at like 6 and 7 years old. And I wouldn't tell my Aunt Beverly this, and never told her this, but I would just like grimace and I think, why would I want to be like that old bald-headed man? And here I am, that old bald-headed man. And the thing that my Aunt Beverly knew, because of my passions with nature and trying to blend art and nature, is that George Washington Carver was also a painter. A lot of folks don't know that he was a painter before he became a botanist. I mean, he studied art in college, and in fact, an art teacher told him, you paint plants all the time, you should probably study botany. And the rest is history. And he never stopped painting. In addition to that, and we all know about his work in agriculture. We all know that. But he was also really concerned with the farmers he worked in and their lifestyle, and really was working on ways to beautify, in many cases, these shacks. And so he created, believe it or not, I've said that a lot. Believe it or not, he created over 300 tints and pigments that were used in paints to beautify the homes of the farmers that he worked with. And so these are some of the remaining elements of these pigments. This is at Tuskegee University. And those colors, in fact, he was even courted by 2 different paint companies. Now, in addition to all of this, he created and recreated the color blue. The color blue from the natural elements that many folks were trying to do. People will use all kind of chemistry to create blue, but there were just a few points in history where people used natural elements, including the soil, to create blue. And he was able to do that with Alabama soils. This is one of the few things that he patented, and hadn't been done like that since the ancient Egyptians. That blue. In fact, he called it Egyptian blue. And there have been several artists over time, this the late Terry Atkins' work, and several African-American artists who have used that. Jason Moran, a fantastic composer, much like our dear Douglas, who mixes all these different mediums. And most recently, a sister named Amanda Williams, who's an architect, working with George Washington Carver's blue. I've tried to do that as well. After the murder of George Floyd, I created a stencil. It's on my website. Download it. It's a free download, so you can create your own portrait. And I started getting images from folks all over the world for that. This ended up being a billboard that was in George Floyd Square in South Minneapolis. And this is where I'm ending up here. This is what you have in your hands here now. It's Egyptian blue. This was created by the design lab at Juxtaposition Arts. And on this, you'll see on each end is a seed. So what I want you all to do is this. Next spring, hold on to this. This is a big responsibility. Hold on to this. Do not throw it away. Do not recycle it. Hold on to this till the springtime. Put it in the ground. Dig a small trench 17 inches long, ½ inch deep. Drop this thing in there. Cover it with dirt. Water it. And you will have 2 collard green plants. And I should say that this is a variety called Alabama blue collards. So, and this is where I'm ending. I want you all to go out and plant. Send us the photos. There is my Instagram and an email. I want to plant one of the largest fields of collards in the country. And that's your responsibility, is to plant and to make sure you share love. Thank you all.